I wasn't respecting family time because I was so passionate about chiropractic. I was just doing it all the time. Well, the same thing is true when I opened up my restaurant. It's like there's always a need, there's always a problem, so I was always the savior, which becomes a problem when you have other people, kids, family. Someone's got to give.
Welcome to the Maverick Entrepreneur Podcast, where business success meets personal purpose. Here we empower entrepreneurs to strike that perfect balance between massive growth and unwavering values. Dive deep into strategies, inspirations, and stories that ensure you set your foundation in faith and don't compromise your family on your ascent to the top.
All right, everybody, today on this podcast, we are going to answer some of the questions that I get the most during my coaching conversations with clients from around the country. Doesn't matter demographic, doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter the business that you're in. There are very similar questions that keep coming up. And so today on this podcast, we're going to answer some of the most frequently asked questions. Are you ready, babe?
So ready.
So ready. I can tell you're ready for it. So one of the questions that we also get are, hey, we are starting new business. Can you give us some practical ideas, tips to starting our own business? What would those be? And I think I'll start it off and then you could help.
Beautiful.
Make them beautiful. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Great.
I would say that being in this for a long time, I love entrepreneurs. I love people with a dream. And God doesn't give you a dream if he's not going to give you the answers and the people around you to help fulfill that dream. It's like people are like, I know this dream's from God. Well, now you got to put your hand to the plow and put the work in. You know, you just don't sit back and be like, well, you know, I knew I was going to be successful. Well, okay, great. Now what? There are some real practical things. And I could usually tell when I sit down with a client real quickly how serious they are. When they don't have their own money invested, I already know it's going to be ugly. It's going to be ugly. People have to have something that hurts so they don't give up the minute they hit their first storm. If people ask me all the question, what do I do about should I get money from other people to start my business? Well, it's not their dream. It's your dream. You know, a great example was I had a doctor one time that was so bad. He worked for me a year, great doctor. He had charisma, great adjuster, everything. He's like, Dr. Matt, let's do a practice. I went and found one. Let's buy it. I'll run it. I'll work it, and let's figure it out. And I started asking him questions, and really it came down to good. So what are you gonna put into it? And he goes, well, I don't have any money. So, oh, you want me to put up all the money? And he goes, yeah. And I'm gonna go work it, and then we'll split the profit 50-50. You remember this?
Yeah, and I came in and I was like, no.
Yeah, exactly. No. And
Red Flag City.
Red Flag City. And I love meeting friends of friends. And so I met some friends and family of his, and they were always telling me stories, and I'd always just listen to the themes. But this was a telling moment. So he had this, car that was paid for. It was a total beater, man. And no judgment on him or the beater. He was just learning his way up. I had a beater when I started. But this thing had no values, maybe worth $12,000. I said to him, cool, we're going to go in, but here's what you're going to do. You're going to sign the title of your car over to me. Now, did I need his beater card? No, I didn't even want it. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't put all my money, resources, time into this practice. He comes in, it's not going the way he thinks, and then he bails on me. So I said, your buy-in is your car for 1 year. After 1 year commitment, I will sign the car back over to you, and then everything else is the same. That way I know you're not bailing. He goes, I'm not going to sign my car over to you. I'm like, you even like that car? You're complaining about the car all the time. And he's like, yeah, but I'm not going to do that. I'm like, well, why wouldn't you? Here's the truth. Subconsciously, he didn't really want to be there. He saw an opportunity. He knew I had some money. He figured, oh, well, I'll give it a go. The minute you have it, I'll give it a go mentality, you're already not going to be successful. You were all in. You know, my brother's in the Navy. He does high crazy stuff. He doesn't go to war and think like, oh, man, I hope it goes well. I mean, he is in a battle for freedom for America, mostly for his own life and protecting his own family, and he wants to come back to his 2 girls. He doesn't go, yeah, I'm going away for 3 months in a combat zone. I hope I come back. No, he has a full plan with the intentionality coming back. He is all in committed. This isn't that you need to look at business the same way. You can't just go into business and be like, man, I hope it works out. I'm going to go rent a studio. I'm going to set up and invite my friends and buy some cameras. I hope it works out. No. you are all in, and you better know what it takes: blood, sweat, tears, time, effort. Let your family know. Write out the plan, work it backwards, and be so committed that you are willing to invest everything you have in it. If you're not at that point, my answer to you is stay a W-2, stay in your safety zone, and don't pop the clutch. Because as an entrepreneur, this is war, and you need that mentality. My wife's been married to me a long time. I swing for the fences. Some have worked, some haven't. There's been some hard conversations, but she knows my level of commitment, and she knows how hard I work. If you were going to speak to entrepreneurs, babe, what would you say it takes to have a successful business?
I would say you grind. Like, you are committed 100%. Like you were saying, you don't give up on things very easily. Like, a little bit of stubbornness in there always helps. Like, you got to get that stubborn.
I'm going to take that as a compliment.
Get that stubborn bone and really activate it. Like,
Yeah.
get it working. Because that can work for you in a positive way. And the other thing that you've done really well is surrounded yourself with people who fill in your weaknesses. And so we're actually very opposite personalities. He's very visionary, big thinker. Anytime he talks about a new business idea, I'm already in like, okay, well, what if this doesn't work? Have you thought about this? And sometimes he receives it as, wow, why are you so negative? You're going to a dark place. However, I'm not. I just think very differently. And we
True.
sometimes get in ourselves in conversations going, wow, we just don't think the same at all. But that can be a really positive thing because we can help each other. And not only just in marriage, but the people that you hire. So everyone that you've surrounded yourself is very execute, like the execute type of personality. And so every visionary who has an idea to start a business needs those people around them. You can get up and grind. You can get up and make sure you're crossing your T's and dotting your I's, but you have to have the people who are going to actually execute your business well. And even if you're not in the place to hire someone, I would say that you can have people around you that can point out those blind spots for you so that you can develop those areas. Because at first, you might have to actually work on being more organized. If you're just a natural visionary, you're going to need to say, okay, hey, friend, like, I'm not going to pay you for this advice, but hey, friend, do you see some blind spots? And they're going to say you're very disorganized. You're going to say, okay, I'm going to have to get organized.
Yeah, I find that a lot of entrepreneurs, what they do, they get a lot of people around them that are amening all the time. And man, they're just pumping you up. And so next thing you know, you're like, I just went to my 4 best friends. Well, you're best friends for a reason. You're all like amening each other, slapping high fives, but you've never asked one person to look at your business plan. You're like, business plan?
And
No.
present it and say, shoot holes in this.
Yeah, shoot holes in it.
Yeah. Like, if we have an idea, then ask your friends, hey, can you shoot holes in this? Don't just say, oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah, I have people all the time that think they're going to hire me for a coaching call, and we'll be on this coaching call, and when I shoot holes in the whole thing, they get all butthurt, and I'm like, well, why'd you hire me? To tell you it was awesome? Or did you hire me to tell you the truth so you can go figure out how to... I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just telling you all the holes you have in this plan. You got to have a plan and have someone that's going to tell you the truth. I told you the truth. If you start with this plan, you will fail. If you do X, Y, and Z, these are the solutions to everything I'm doing. And they go, oh, yeah, that's too much work. I think I could do it without that. I'm like, well, I've been around the block a few times. Good luck. Prove me wrong. And it's sad because so many of those people throw good money at bad projects, bad ideas without a real plan that's executable. And they end up broke and now pissed thinking, oh, man, I shouldn't even listen to that God idea. No, he gave you the idea. Now you got to go vet it out and put the right people around you to fill the gap so you can execute the right way. And the truth is my wife thinks completely different than me. But she's great at the details. She's great at poking holes in it. And sometimes I just, I could bulldoze her, or I could just listen to her and be like, yeah, you're right. I didn't think about it. You're right. I do need that person. A great example, I was in doing a restaurant, and I was worried about one of my partners, and my uncle was so funny. We were sitting there talking around the fire with the partners, and my uncle's like, hey, so are you going to tell so-and-so that you don't trust him? I was like, oh, really? I was
Leave it up to the uncle.
Yeah, I was so mad at my uncle, but he is a very successful business guy. And he's like, yeah, you told me this is a concern. Have you told him? I said, I did, but yeah, you're still going into partners with him. So it was the most awkward thing in the world. I had to sit there and stare at the dude and I'm like, yeah, this is my problem with you. You don't execute. This is what you, and he goes, yes, I do. And so the guy justified it. But because of that conversation, I put an exit strategy in for the partnership. I would have never had an exit strategy for the partnership if my uncle didn't call me to the carpet, have an awkward conversation. And so he saw the potential that we could blow this thing up. The truth is, 6 months later, it worked out exactly my greatest fear. But at the end of the day, we had an exit strategy. We executed the strategy, did a partnership buyout, and it was all well and good. Now, was everything slapping high fives? Were we hugging each other? No, but at the end of the day, no money, no lawsuits, no business problems. We moved on, and it was black and white and very clear because we talked about the things, and my uncle put me in a position we had to add it to the business plan. And if it wasn't for my uncle and his wisdom around that, we would have got ourselves in a lot of trouble, and we probably would have train wrecked that partnership, and there would be no business today. So I can just encourage you, let other people see your plan, and do not shy away from tough conversations and holes that are in your plan. Be bulletproof, and that will help you be successful in business.
If you're a new business owner too, I know what your very first employee who you hired almost 20 years ago is still with you today. And I think what he did really well in the beginning was brought someone in, got them passionate about what he was passionate about, and then incentivized. So got some buy-in into his vision. And that person, we've continued to incentivize, continue to give bonus trips, continue to give bonuses to this day. And she's still with you because I think that you've done a really great job of bringing that person alongside you to build the business.
What I've learned is everybody likes to be built. I've never met someone, especially an entrepreneur, that wants to be the same person in 5 years from now. We all want to grow. People always want to grow. You want to keep employees, then how are you helping them grow? Sometimes it's tough conversations. Sometimes it's exposing blind spots. Sometimes it's be like, I love you. Throwing more money at it isn't the solution. Developing people to be better, to be a better version of themselves. I don't want anyone that works for me in a year from now to have the same life. It drives me crazy. I want them to be growing, whether it's in business, whether it's in personal development, whether it's in their faith, whether it's in their relational equity. They need to be changing, because if they're not, and I keep growing, we're creating a gap, and at some point you will lose them because they are unwilling to keep that gap closing. They're going to stay the same, and you're going to keep developing. At one point, you're going to stare at somebody and be like, I don't even know you anymore. Don't let that happen in your marriage. Don't let that happen in business. Don't let that happen with employees. One thing that I think keeps coming up with a lot of entrepreneurs is how do we avoid burnout? Because it's like, go, 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 hustle, hustle, hustle. Can you give some tips and advice, especially kind of married to a
kind of excessive person?
Excessive go, go, go getter.
Yes.
What would you say the keys to our success is we don't burn out?
Yeah. We've actually had to figure this out from trial and error because we've hit ceilings sometimes trying to figure out, oh my gosh, what the heck? What do we do? Pulling our hair out and lots of...
Are you talking to yourself? Mine was falling out. I don't really pull it out, but I get what you're saying.
Oh, that's what happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. Thank you.
But we would get in lots of motivational conversations where I was the one motivating, except he was receiving it as me yelling. So I don't know where the line was, but we had a lot of those types of conversations where I was saying, we need to go do some things and reset and refresh. And then he was like, I got to get this done, get this done, get this done. But after being married for 18 years now, almost, we feel like we have figured it out somewhat.
Remember that sign I bought you?
Motivational speeches.
Yeah, you know what it says?
You can remind me.
I bought her a sign because I was like, wow. Because I was like, this really feels like you're bitching. And she goes, no, this is motivational speaking.
Yeah.
So I got her a sign that says that. My husband thinks this is bitching, but this is my motivational speech. So I still have that sign today.
It was a great Christmas gift.
I thought it was a great Christmas gift. I'm glad you now recognize that.
It's very motivational.
Very motivational, yes.
However, we have figured out, we always have to rein it in a little bit. I think as an entrepreneur, your natural inkling is to drive. But you have to have reset moments. And for us, we talk a lot about our river house. And that's something that we really, when push comes to shove, if we had to sell things and create more cash or whatever, we would never touch that because it's created so much value in our life to be able to get away. We drive 3 hours And I think everybody needs something like that, whatever your fancy is that you like to do, that really disconnects you, because you're in it. And every once in a while you have to get out of it to be able to reset and refresh and get back in it and have a new perspective. And so we try to go every month. Actually, now, we didn't used to be able to go as often, but now we try to go every month and kind of do a reset, disconnect from our phones, disconnect from life, and see things from a different standpoint.
Yeah, I call it noise. So I teach on this a lot in the Maverick Entrepreneur about rhythm and a flow. That's one of the modules. And the rhythm and the flow is you have to find a rhythm in business. And here's the truth. Any startup business, you do got to know that they say the first 2 years in business, people fail. So if you are going to start a business, you might as well just know you got to grind for a couple years, but you have to have the conversations with the people you love. You can't look at my life and be like, oh, he just doesn't get it. It's not like one day I woke up and like, hey, I'm successful. You got to know you're going to put the work in. I tell I've owned restaurants. I grew up in the restaurant business. I know what it's like to make a restaurant successful, and you just don't open the doors, and then next thing you know, you're out of the red. You got to have realistic expectations. And then I would say, what is your 2-year marketing plan? And then if you're hitting those goals, then what's your reset in that? You got to have the big chunk. So if you're starting business, you got to have a realistic expectation, and your wife needs to know, hey, I'm an entrepreneur, or your wife maybe is the entrepreneur and she needs to let you know, hey, you're not going to see me for a little while. I'm grinding this thing out. But then
we had one conversation, newly married, and I'm like, you're so busy all the time. I never get to see you. My love language is quality time. So it's a real...
Oh, I couldn't go any more pain.
And he goes, babe, just give me 5 years. I'm like, really, 5 years? He's like, yeah, 5 years, and I'll have so much freedom. I'm like, okay. I was so naive. 18 years later.
18 years later, lots of businesses later. But I will tell you that to be successful, you got to know what it is, and you got to back your way in. And I will tell you that you still, even if you're in your first 2 years, you got to be able to take that vacation. It might not be a week. It might not be a month. It might not be, my buddy takes 6 months at a year. We're getting to that point. You have to have those expectations where they're timeouts to hit the reset. So speaking to the new entrepreneurs that are starting a business, you need to work your 2-year plan, but then throw in resets along the way. And a reset don't just think Christmas. Christmas is Christmas, okay? No one's working on Christmas, so chill out. Same thing with Easter. Those are already built in for you. But in there, I would start, even if you can't do quarterly yet, put it in there. All right, the mid-year mark, we're going to take 2-3 days and we're going to decompress. For those that have already been past the 2-year mark and you're just in business, then set up a rhythm and a flow and get it in there and put it in your calendar first. A lot of entrepreneurs, what they do is they never calendar. They go, okay, I'm hoping next month, in June, and it's January, I'm going to take a vacation, but yet they don't put it on the calendar. By the time you get to June, there's no room. There's no margins. You have to learn margins, and you got to put the margins in.
And I actually met you because he hit a goal in his practice. Knew you were like a year in practice, 2 years in practice, something.
Yeah.
And he hit a goal, and he booked a trip to Vegas to reset.
Reset.
And that's where we met on the airplane, and he had a big reset. But
yeah, I did.
He's been doing this since the day I met him.
Yeah, this isn't a theory that I'm like, oh, I read about this in a book. No, I lived it. And I'll never forget, in my first practice, I had a cupboard. And on that cupboard, I wrote goals and then what the reward was. And every reward was built in that I'd automatically reset. So this one goal, no joke, it was a 1-day spa day by myself in Vegas because all my friends thought I was crazy. So all my friends were like, what do you mean you want to go to Vegas? Oh, it's Vegas, man. I'm going to go there. I'm going to leave my phone. I'm going to go there. I'm going to stay in a hotel. I'm going to treat myself to a great dinner. And the truth is, honestly...
And a Celine Dion concert?
No, that was... Wow. Now I have to explain that.
No,
people are like, delete that. No, but the truth is, my friends are like, you're going to go to Vegas and spend money on a really nice dinner, and then on Saturday wake up and do a spa day all day and then lay out by the pool. I'm like, yeah, by yourself? I'm like, yeah, I need to decompress. I'm around people all the time. And they just thought like, well, who are you going to take? Well, here's the truth. None of my friends could afford that at the time. So I'm like, I'm going to do it. Now, could I afford it? Listen, if you looked at how much I was making, the truth was financially, I couldn't afford it. But mental bandwidth, I had to afford it. Here's why. When you take time to sharpen your mind, take a reset, you will come back. Let me tell you, I came back totally refreshed. Especially I met a beautiful young lady on the plane. I came back very motivated. I'm like, man, I better level up this business if this girl's going to go out on a date with me. So I came back even more motivated. But I tell you that to tell you that on Friday afternoon, my assistant called me and she goes, hey, Dr. Matt, you hit the goal. I went to the cupboard. I opened it up and it said spa day in Vegas. I said, sweet. And before I had time to rationalize it, she goes, I already booked your ticket on Southwest. You fly out tonight, last flight of the night on Friday night. Because I had so much buy-in with my people that were working for me at the time, I didn't even need to think of it. She executed the plan so I didn't have to get emotionally involved. Who do you have in you that will hold you accountable around you, that will hold you to the promises you make? A really good lesson, and you could speak into this, babe, is I worked for somebody that taught me about these resets and talked to me about goals and promising yourself. And I'll never forget that I was grinding, spent a lot of money. I hit a goal on a weekend, and my reward was to buy myself a ping pong table. And that Monday at our meeting, this doctor looked at me and goes, hey, man, you hit your goal last week. I'm really proud of you. Did you go buy your ping pong table? And I looked at him and I said, oh, dude, this guy was Jewish, totally good with money, everything. And I thought I was being really smart. And I go, yeah, I know, but I put a lot of money on my credit card. So that money that I was going to spend on my ping pong table, I just paid my credit card bill. So no, I didn't go buy the ping pong table. And he goes, oh, so you're a liar. I was like, whoa. In front of the whole team, he says this. I'm like, whoa, no, I'm not a liar. And he goes, yeah, you lied to yourself. You'll never hit another goal again. Oh, what do you mean I'll never hit another goal? Dude, I'm driven. He goes, no, because you actually made a promise to yourself that you love ping pong, that your first reward when you grinded it out, you were going to reward yourself with a ping pong table because you miss it and you love it, and something I did with my grandpa. So emotionally, I had a charge to it. And he goes, because you didn't, you will self-sabotage the rest of your life because subconsciously your body now knows you're a liar and you're not a man of your word. Whoa, okay, that's a little intense, man. You know, and then he just broke it down, talking about your reticulating activating system, how your brain works, your nervous system works, and he broke it down like quantum level. So I looked at him and was like, okay, you're successful, I'm not. I better listen to you, even though I don't believe in all this mumbo jumbo you just said. I literally got so convicted, I went out and bought that ping pong table. Let me tell you.
And now we have multiple ping pong tables.
Yeah, well, I like ping pong. So I would just tell you that it's something that I had to learn at a young age, that I need to be a man of my word with myself first and honor the commitments I made. I set a goal. I achieved it. I need to reward myself. Reward yourself with taking time, or you will burn out. And once you burn out, you're no good to your family. You're no good to your friends. You're no good for the people that you're trying to serve. So this burnout thing is a legit deal. You better set up guardrails so you don't burn out.
Amen.
Amen. Anything else about that?
Well, I would say one thing you did a lot back in the day when you didn't have a ton of money to go spend and do the reset, you actually went to the movies every Friday by yourself. So you reset your mind by doing that. So that's easy. Like,
see, you're pulling
go to the
some
movies.
of the OG stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you didn't just arrive here overnight. Like, these are all the things that you did. And something's really important to us is Sabbath, our Sabbath on Sunday. Obviously, we're pastors and we run a church, but as much as we can,
Your Sabbath's a Saturday because of that.
Yeah, exactly. But our weekends are very protected. So he used to, go down to his office and adjust people on a Saturday because someone had an emergency. And we just had a conversation. And I was like, let's not do that. You don't have to be doing that. So just minor tweaks like that to really protect your time and your space so that you don't get burned out.
Yeah. And when you're passionate about what you love, you will justify. So here's the truth is, I wasn't respecting family time because I was so passionate about chiropractic. I was just doing it all the time. Well, the same thing is true when I opened up my restaurant. It's like there's always a need. There's always a problem. So I was always the savior, which becomes a problem when you have other people, kids, family. Someone's got to give. Now that we're pastors, whether it's a restaurant problem, an office patient that needs you, or pastorally, guess what? There was always a need. And if you don't protect your boundaries, you will end up burning yourself out. And it's not like something you arrive. This will always be a thing that we have to discuss for the rest of our marriage, for the rest of our business life. Even I know some of my friends that are really wealthy, that are retired, they still have to protect their time to hit the reset so they're not constantly stuck in go, go, go. So if you don't set up the boundaries, the guardrails, you will find yourself in a predicament. And marriage counseling now is about $200 an hour. I just recommend saving the $200, set them up, pregame a little bit so you don't burn out. One of the questions that comes up often in some of these coaching calls, how do I know when to get money from other people, from investors, to invest in my business? It's a great question, comes up with all the time. And the truth is, I've had some partners, I've had some investors, done restaurants. We're about to do a vineyard, open up a winery. We're looking at options.
And then I'm going to have a famous wine blog.
Famous wine blogger.
Mhm.
That's right. What are you going to call it?
Wines by K-Ray.
Wines by K-Ray. Watch out. She
I
does
need
have.
investors. No,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
kidding.
Yeah. I would tell you this, that it's a very tricky thing. And I love to tie in two different things. People ask me all the time, should you work or invest or go into business with friends or hire friends or family?
Mm.
Very, very similar. My thing is, I love working with family and friends. And, in the marketplace, everyone says, oh, don't go into business with friends. I disagree, because the truth is, I want to go on trips with people I love. I want to go on trips with my friends. Now, if you can actually have real conversations and talk about things that matter and talk about the awkward turtles in the room, and you're a good communicator, you can go into business with friends.
Can I say something on that?
Well, you sure can.
So I think, yeah, you're absolutely right, but setting up the boundaries as well in the expectations in the relationship. So there has to be excellent communication on what your expectation is and what this looks like and what everybody's role is in it. So if you just go in and you're like, it's a great idea, but there's not a plan, there has to be a plan. And we've learned that the hard way.
Yeah. And I always tell people, I'll be like, hey, I really want to do this business with you. I want to be friends afterwards. It's going to be hard.
The friendship should be more important than the business relationship.
The friendship should always be more important. And here's the truth. Just because they're family, don't go into business with them. Do they have the same core values as you? We've had stuff where families want to go into business with us, and I'll be like, no, we don't even have the same values. So there are family members I won't go into business with because, one of my family members has a total scarcity mindset, and that repels me and drives me crazy. Why would somebody with a mindset like me, which is about prosperity, abundance, like let's play big, let's be a producer, not a consumer? Well, if they don't get my money values or my values around on prosperity or my values around serving other people, then I don't need to include them in my business. So if your values aren't in alignment, never go into business with friends or family, even if they have money.
We know one of the most successful businessmen that we know, and I don't even know what his net worth would be, but his business partner is his cousin or his brother-in-law. And they've made it work. And they're different personality guys, like very different personality, but obviously their core values are very aligned, and they figured out how to do it right.
Yep, that's right. They have the same values, and because of that, they can agree and disagree, but they have what I call expectation therapy. If you have these expectations written down, then you just have conversations all the time. And then you always need an exit. So once you're on the freeway, you know that there's an exit coming up. If you want to take that exit, great. Okay? And there needs to be an on-ramp. Always have on-ramps and off-ramps. Never get stuck in an HOV lane that is 20 miles long, but you need to get off on mile 5. Okay? Then you are stuck in things that are taking you to destinations you don't want to go. You have to be careful with that. Same thing with asking for money. Do you want to take money from corrupt people? No. Oh, why? I know no one else to get my business off the ground. Well, they're buying your soul for money. Don't be a prostitute. It is your vision, your stuff. You find a way. Go to banks. Don't take no for an answer. Find people that maybe want to invest in your dream, but don't give away a piece of your puzzle unless you have to. This is what I mean by that. If you have a product and you want to make the decisions, why would you give up 51% of it? You are now no longer the main producer, if you will, or the visionary, they bought out more. That's control, meaning they're going to call the shots, not you. Well, God gave you the dream, not them. Why are you giving up so much of it? Well, then I couldn't get it started. We'll find another way. You do not dilute your power of influence. It's your vision. Don't lose your vision. Don't lose your control just for money. Otherwise, wait until you get the money to do what you need to do. Now, if people want to invest in you, always start with the loan. Just like, all right, I'll take a loan. Don't give up the dream or equity. Start with, all right, I'll get a loan. Maybe it's personal, maybe it's not, but be smart about it, okay? Have a way to pay them back. I had someone that invested in me on this huge deal, and it was very lucrative for about 6 months. We were crushing the game. And then my business partner took all the money, stole everything, and bailed. I still owed a personal loan of $180,000. Now, I never thought this guy would take the money and run. When he did, man, I just learned about integrity at a whole nother level. I wasn't even ready for it. But the one thing that I know, he wasn't on the hook for the money I borrowed because I had to bring 50% of the money to this guy who just swindled me. The truth is this, I learned a hard lesson. I still stayed in integrity. I went and met with that guy immediately when I found out, and I said, hey, I just got swindled. I know I owe you the money. Can our terms change? I was paying him $10,000 a month as a payback. I said, I can no longer pay you $10,000 a month, but I want to stay in integrity with you. Can you give me 3 months to figure it out? He looked at me and he goes, wow, I've never had anyone come to me and talk to me like this. Absolutely, I'll give you 3 months to figure it out. So I had 90 days to figure out how I'm going to pay back $180,000. I sat my wife down. We had a come to Jesus moment. We tightened up all the stuff. And then I went driver mode, leveraged some other businesses, leveled up my life in a completely way, got very conservative on spending. And I ended up paying this guy back.
Your favorite car?
Sold my favorite car. Dang it, don't remind me of that. But I did what I had to do. And let me tell you, was that my Porsche?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
the white one.
Oh, man, that was
sad day.
Sad day. But you know what? Plenty of Porsches to go. Yeah. But I did. I sold my favorite car. It was a dream car. I hit a goal to get it, but I knew it was the right thing to do. I sold it, conserved down. What did we do? We paid him off in 18 months or 12 months?
12 months.
12 months, I paid off $180,000. Now, I'd never made that much money in my life before in that short amount of time, extra on top of our lifestyle, which we were living big at the time. So it was a big wake-up call for me. I'm never going to get myself in a position where someone could pull the strings and steal that much money from me again. I don't want to put my family in that position. I only had 1 kid at the time. Now I have 3. I'll never do that again. I learned a lot, but learn from my lesson. Don't over-leverage yourself and not have control of the company. I didn't have full control of this company. This guy took everything. I was left holding the bag. Thank goodness I was smart enough to overcome and pay it back. But since then, I changed some of my values, and it's protecting your family first. Don't over-leverage yourself, and don't let someone else control your company. Get money. There's so much money out there that you can find ways to do it, practicality, and very practical ways that can help you so it doesn't dig you a hole, which could be a grave. It could set you up to thrive, and that has to do how you set your company up. So hopefully that's helping somebody. Hey, everybody, thanks so much for listening in on another episode of The Maverick Entrepreneur. Download our app and stay tuned for next week's podcast. We're going to bring fresh, real, and powerful tips that can help you in business and in life so you thrive in business and you thrive in your family. Don't compromise either. We love you. We'll see you next week.
I am a fighter. Got a dream of a legacy. Eye of the tiger.